What we saw last week was drivers learning how to respect momentum in these cars, Mark. Smooth corner entries, patient on exit, and using the draft instead of fighting it. That's why the racing looks so good and why positions were earned and not gifted, except for, our winner last week, Rodrigo Theory. He got gifted the win after the top two crashed out. But heading into week two of this practice series, getting ready for the full season, everyone's a little smarter now. The margins are tighter, the expectations are higher, and the MX-5 Cup car is still going to demand the same thing it always does: precision, patience, and racecraft, Mark. And where are we driving tonight?
Wow. Well, we were in Watkins Glen last week. We're in the west, and we went so far west that we've ended up back east at Okayama International Circuit. Very familiar if you are involved in the Rookie Series or regularly pilot the MX-5. And yes, we're going somewhere very different than we were from Watkins Glen, which was flat out, NASCAR style, no track limits. We're in something much tighter, twistier, more technical, like turns 1 and 2, and the Moss S's you can see here.
Yeah, the Moss S's, you kind of straight line that out after getting a tough exit out of turn two. Turn two is kind of a tricky one, little off camber. But then you're going to head down to the Atwood curve, which is going to produce the most amount of exit. So as you can see through here on this test, you kind of straight line that out over the curbs. And that's a late braking move into this Atwood curve. And you want to get on that throttle super early because it's on camber and uphill. The sooner you can get on that throttle, you go down that straight looking at turns 5 through 7. What
Yeah,
do you
it's all
think right
about.
here? Do you think we'll see several lines coming out of here? You can push out to the outside or you
I
can hug
reckon.
that inside.
Yeah, I
What do
think
you
the
think?
the overtakes we'll see at the hairpin later will start here. They'll start in Atwood curve. It's how you set that up, and if you can get a run on somebody, because they've got a big, heavy braking zone into turns 5, 6, and 7 here. Again, nice, tight and twisty, total opposite from what we had last weekend. So we're braking just before the 50 board, or at least I was, and it's all about getting the nose tucked in, 4 wheels all drifting at the same time to keep your momentum up, swinging out to the right, cutting across to the left, going into the gravel. You can dip some tires in and take the 1X. Just keep your momentum uphill, because that's a key factor of this car, is just keeping your mid-corner speed up, not dropping time.
And heading into turn 8 and 9, Redmond and Hobbs are their names. We'll see some risky overtake moves attempted here. You can see some moves looking up the inside, but then you're gonna be stuck on the outside. It's a tricky corner because you gotta try to carry speed, but then you gotta wait and wait and wait and wait and wait until you get that exit here, and then you're firing down turn 10 and 11.
Yes, last two corners, Mike Knight corner, you fly through there. You might do a little bit of lifting and then prepare yourself for the final braking point on the track. I was coming in hot, waiting for the white wall on the inside, not downshifting, just taking it close to the right side, drifting out wide to keep your momentum up. And that is a lap of Okayama. We're expecting times of around 1:43 for the really quick guys. We've got just a handful of those in practice, all the way to 1:45. So longer lap, much more technical, totally different challenge from what we had. Maybe a fewer broken bumpers this week. Maybe bump drafting won't be so critical. And yeah, it'll shine a light on who's got the best braking ability and who can carry the momentum into the corners without losing it in the uphill sections. So it should be a really interesting challenge, I think.
Oh yeah, I agree. And I think from last week's perspective, that track was so fast, a ton of drafting. This one's going to be a little bit more of a challenge for the drivers on some technical corners. Like I said, there's a lot of off camber and then on camber, the hairpin at turn 5. You actually kind of have a little dip. You can kind of stick it in there, but then you got to watch out for oversteer. And so I think we'll see some gaps maybe pop out between the drivers just based on pace alone. And then two, there are a lot of overtaking opportunities at this track. We were kind of limited at Watkins Glen. This one we'll see a little bit more opportunity for that all the way through the field and maybe not just so much at the front based on a draft or getting a good run. You're going to have to put a move on the brakes here.
Yeah, and I think moves will be several corners in the making. Like we said, they'll probably set something up by getting a good exit a corner or two previous and using that to get alongside or get in the draft so you're close enough in the braking zone to send it. So the actual format we'll be following here tonight is 3 races. Last week we just had the 2. This time we've thrown in an extra and changed the time amounts slightly as well. The first race or the first heat is just 10 minutes long, so that'll be probably about only 6 or 7 laps. Then race 2 is our consolation race. That will be 12 minutes, only a little bit longer. And then we have race 3, our feature. So this one is 20 minutes long, a little bit calmer, hopefully, maybe. Maybe people have learned something in the previous 2 rounds and start to put that into effect. So 3 action-packed rounds for you. It'll be thick and fast.
Last week we were wishing we had another race to watch, so this week we get 3 races. And just for those that are viewing this and those that are racing, maybe looking back later, we're trying different setups to see which ones work best for the full season. This is the second of 3 preseason races, and we're trying different things to see what works, what creates the best racing, the most exciting racing, and the most chances for people to learn, and those that are up in the front to get more chances to race one another and provide exciting action.
Absolutely. Yep. And then 3 rounds. So 3 chances to win. If something goes wrong in the first race, they're still not out of it. They could come back, gain the spots back in race 2, start in a good spot in race 3, and even still win it. So that's what I like. It keeps everybody in the game. Everyone's got a chance to take glory. And we saw it last week. Anyone in the top 10 could have had a shot at victory. It eventually went over to this man, Rodrigo Theory, who's out on track live at the moment. He's looking quick in practice as well. He's currently got the 3rd fastest time. He's one of a small handful of people in the 143s. He's on a 143.5, and that's only a couple of tenths behind Kyle Caesar, our ever so scary Aston Martin driver from the GT3s, who's usually at the front of the field. But yeah, I would love to see Rodrigo carry this momentum into the next round and be a force to be reckoned with in today's races.
Well, we talked a lot last week about whether or not who was going to be patient, who was going to bide their time and go for the win. Rodrigo did a really good job of that last week. I mean, this car is so fun to drive. You can throw moves, you can race side by side. But as we saw last week, Rodrigo bided his time, waited till that second to last corner. He didn't push the issue. He let the 2 leaders kind of fight it out, and he got rewarded for that.
Absolutely. So now we're on to the qualifying session. We've got 10 minutes here, and the thing at BWRL is always open quali. That means everybody's out on track at the same time, so you've got to factor that into how you set up your laps. You can use cars in front as an advantage to give you a tow or some slipstream and improve your lap time, or you could find yourself at the front of a train being hounded, and you've got distractions, you've got a bit of gamesmanship, your track position is everything. So we'll see how the crowd sort of shuffles out. We'll keep an eye on little pockets or little teams that start to form, and we'll see if and how they help each other by improving their times.
Yeah, I think this week we'll see a little bit more of people trying to find some space. There's actually, I guess 2 really good drafting opportunities down the front straight and down that straight after turn 5. However, there's so many technical corners, tricky corners where you're trying to carry speed, and if you're behind a guy or in front of a guy that's at a different skill level, or it takes a different approach to this track, which this track does offer opportunities to take different approaches, we might see somebody get a lap compromised at the end of the turn 5. They may get a good draft, but it's not as clear to get around, or just close the gap and then follow somebody like we saw last week. So it's going to take some skill here.
I reckon. So it looks like we've got some little groups forming. If we just look at the track map, we've got people like Rodrigo Theory, Chris Lambeth out there forming their own little pack, and then behind them it looks like some Isaac Gardner, some people in there. Let me switch over to the cameras. Go. So Isaac Gardner's actually up in this front group following Rodrigo Theory. This is the place to be. He'll probably be getting a nice little tow, and we know he's fast. He was absolutely at the sharp end last week at Watkins Glen, and he's found himself in a good spot to get a bit of draft, improve his lap time.
Yeah, nice perfect little gap there coming out of turn 5 going on the straightaway. That should serve him well as long as he has a good amount of space and they're pretty close going through the next series of corners.
Looks like Jacob Simmons is at the head of this little train. He's got Marshall Scari right behind him for company. I'm sure Marshall will appreciate that, being tucked in behind a very fast driver. We often see at the front of the field in every series that we run. And yeah, we are patiently waiting for some lap times to appear on the board. It'll be Rodrigo Theory, who should post the first lap time of the session. And again, yeah, it's this little train. It's Rodrigo, Isaac, and Chris Lambeth in the number 6. Almost our winner of the feature. Last week, he was one corner from home and about to do a double. He was going to go back-to-back, winning the heat and the feature.
Heat winner, he's got pace in this car, and so he's got a couple good partners up in front of him. I was talking to him not long before the race, and he said he was struggling a little bit with the pace at this track, but what we saw last week out of Chris, I feel like the more time he gets to put some laps in here, even in qualifying, the way we do it with a 10-minute open qualifying, heck, if you're struggling with the pace and you get with a good group, you might be able to find some pace in hand, and while at the same time you get plenty of opportunity to turn some laps in, get comfortable.
Absolutely, it's Gage Himes who takes the top spot at the moment by 600ths. And again, it's like we saw last week. If you are at the back of a little train, you get an even bigger tow. So, not to say that he hasn't put in a good lap, but he's also positioned himself in a perfect little spot. He's got a whole train of drivers ahead who'll be giving him a tow, and he's taking full advantage of the extra draft and the straight line speed.
We talked about it last week. I think he's pretty good. I think he's pretty good, Mark.
Yeah, he's all right, actually. So the little threesome at the top still circulating. They're not the quickest on track. Jacob Simmons is still leading his little train. He's got Joshua Grosso very, very close for company. I wonder if Jacob will peel off at the end of this lap. If it's not an improvement, he could probably argue that he's not being served by being at the front of the field, and it's the people behind him's turn to give him a bit of tow and get him up the order.
I think it's gonna. That's a risky move, you know, right? And that you see him peeling off right then and there. Now Marshall's in the front of that pack. It's like Jacob may have just gone a little deep in that corner. He's still gonna come out kind of in the front. Just got the curb there, so easy to do. And yeah, he's gonna try to slot into something. Maybe, hey, try something different. Follow somebody. Who's that? Who's that?
Ahead of him, that's Peter Flanner in the 63.
Not a bad driver to follow.
Exactly right. If you're looking for tag team partners, that's a pretty decent one. So that forms a whole new train with Peter Flanner at the front. Looks like Tom Smith at the back there as well. We've got a new provisional poleman. It's Kyle Caesar. He's taken it by almost a tenth. They're getting scary close to the 142s. And if anybody gets in the 142s, we know that's a scary quick lap. But we also know these cars with the old tyre models tend to get quicker and quicker. The more you go, it's that weird glass cheese material that I can't quite describe. But generally, the lighter the car gets and the warmer the tyres get, the faster you go. That is Kyle Caesar pulling off and pitting in. So maybe he's going to reset, get new boots, and try again.
Yeah, the track looks pretty sunny. I don't have it pulled up. I'd be interested to see what the track temperature's sitting at the moment. But you mentioned Tom Smith, first-time winner in the league last night in our ARCA series. We raced at Talladega. Good showing from everybody. We had some good green flag runs. We had some pretty hectic wrecks, but it's a good time. You should always look into joining us on Wednesday nights. And I think, Mark, you owe Tom a jacket still.
I was just about to say I still need to make him a jacket, which is the esteemed prize every ARCA racer receives. Everyone gets a nice jacket. Winner. Yes, true. Race winner. You've got to win. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. And if you still win, I might not do it unless I forget. So you have to remind me. And I will get around to it.
Well, congrats to Tom. I mean, that's great for him. It always feels good taking the checker. No matter the series.
It's times. We've got the first 14 drivers in the 143, so that's less than a second covering the top 14. So very fine margins over quite a long lap. Some new faces that we've seen join us today include Alejandro Gallego. We can see here he's in matching paintwork with the man ahead of him, Isaac Gardner, which makes me think that they're teammates. And this is exactly what I would expect teammates to do. They're drafting around together. One is giving the other the tow. Presumably, if Alejandro gets a little bit too close or he's worried he's going to get compromised by Isaac, Isaac will just pull out of the way and let him bank and keep that time for the rest of the lap. Isaac Gardner's currently sitting in P3, so an excellent towing partner. His teammate, meanwhile, is down in 16th, so could use a little bit of help. Looking behind, it looks like Braden Daniels in the 701, being followed by number 7, that's Brandon Renfro. Generally, though, few drivers improving. Maybe artist laps were at the beginning of the session before tyre wear and a lot of debris, especially through Revolver and Piper, those double left-handers, that is covered in the kitty litter at the moment.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to see with a little bit of lower grip. That's just what I was talking about, getting a little bit of oversteer coming out of that hairpin turn. I'm looking at the top 5 right now. Chris Lambeth, like we said, he said he was struggling with pace earlier, but he got slotted in good. He's sitting there in 5th place. It's not a bad spot for him. Rodrigo is, top 3 in the practice, but, sometimes finding that right slot. He's sitting in 11th right now. Just under 17 thousandths of a second behind Marshall, who's in the top 10.
Aha, we finally have someone with a purple sector. It's Jacob Simmons, who was purple in the middle sector, but I'm not sure he improved much despite that hot sector. First one was orange, third one was orange, and ooh, that's probably going to be a 1x. Invalidate his next one as well. Shout out to this man in 4th, Angel Bonilla Soto, impressing us in the MX-5s. He was quick on at Watkins Glen last week, and he's putting in another good performance here. Man on a G29, I believe. So
this car just seems to suit Angel, and he's been doing really good performances. So it's really fun to see him get out here, find a platform that really fits him, because it's going to help him in every other series of races. That's it for qualifying.
There we go. Yep, 10 minutes is up, so it stops. There's literally no more racing allowed. So we should be able to review the grid here. It's Carl Caesar who takes pole position with a 143.127, less than a tenth ahead of Gage Himes. Then it's Isaac Gardner, Angel Soto, and Chris Lambeth in P5. Then it's Joshua Grosso, Rick Wishon, Brandon Renfro, Jacob Simmons coming in 9th, and it's Marshall Sky rounding out the top 10.
And I think it was less than half a second that decided the top 10 from the front. In 11th place, you got Rodrigo Theory, Alejandro Gallego, William Van Solkema, Dean Diltz. In 14th, you got Joshua Justice following Dean Diltz in the 899 car. And in 16th, you have Braden Daniels. In 17th, you got Peter Flanner. I presume we'll see him moving towards the front. 18th, we got Jonathan DeKeischer. 19th, we got Chris Chitterling, and rounding out the top 20 is Brian McGrath in the 997 car.
Yep, then it's Jason Chen, our regular V's Rays, Aidan Gertz, Tom Smith, Cecil Hale, a new face ahead of Clark Wolf, another new face. Daniel Varron, is down there as well. Michael Othorn, Oliver Brooks, Jeff Koffold, a GT3 regular, current Pro-Am champion of the GT3s, and then Mr. Andrew Korostecki down there in 30th.
And coming in 31st place is Todd Buellmore. Right behind him in 32nd is Shane Goins. Rocking the 445 cars, Benjamin Minch. Daryl Carrington is behind him in the 878. You got Kobe Brooks starting in 35th, Charles Craig in 36th, Andrew Simmons in 37th, John Debrick rocking the 130 car, and Jesse Breer in the 799. And looks like a new face, Paul Young Kim, who was asking about the series today, and he's out there driving in the 102 car, rounding out the top 40.
There we go. So 40 drivers. Another nice big grid for us today. Thank you everyone for joining. If you're watching this back on YouTube the following day, I hope you had a good race and you're excited to come back and watch what happened here. But yeah, we're about to get underway. A half pace lap, so they're starting on the back straight before turn 5. And looks like the pace car is starting to make a move. So we'll head on over.
I can't wait to see some of the racing here, Mark. This track, built in 1990, it's tucked up in the mountains just off the Chugoku Mountains in Mimasaka in the Okayama province. Hosted the Formula One series in 1994 and 1995, both races won by Michael Schumacher. And we're in the homeland of these cars. Japan is the home of Mazda, so it's like kind of coming home for these guys.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. I guess it was the site of the Pacific Grand Prix.
That's right.
That's what it was called. weirdly, I was
One of the
looking up
few
some.
back then in the early 90s, they didn't have that many Grand Prix, and that season, Japan was one of the few times they hosted 2 races in one season.
Huh. Very interesting. Well, yeah, I was looking up some track facts as well. You know who has the Formula 4 record around here? It's Robert Kubica, weirdly.
Oh, wow.
So that's a
You know, that,
long-standing record.
yeah, well, and I'm sure that's not the only record he holds. The guy was
Indeed.
one of the best to ever do it, despite all of his obstacles he's had to face. But we
Indeed.
got obstacles ahead of us, and it looks like 40 cars ahead of uh, Todd Billmore right now. Oliver Brooks, it's getting switched around just from the timing. But
I think it'll
there's
sort
40
itself
cars
out
out
on
there
this
that are
lap.
going to be rolling obstacles, turn 1 being the first.
Right, it's Kyle Caesar. Gage Himes will take us to the green flag. Here we go. He's punching it. Streaming away. This track looks so wide with all these cars in it. I will hide the tower just for a moment so you can see the cars streaming through into turn 1. Kyle Caesar keeps his lead ahead of Gage Himes. Isaac Gardner hunting him from behind. We're 3 wide into turn 1. We've got 1 spin. Here we go through the Moss S's now. Mostly single file. There's a bit of 2 wide action in the back there.
It's such a tricky spot coming out of turn 2. Finding the grip on these low grip tires or cold tires, and some of these guys are having to touch the gravel. Heading down into turn 5, and this is where we're going to see the difference of being on the inside or outside. There's several options of lines you can take. Very clean through this part. Looks like we've only lost 1 so far, so great clean start from these guys.
Isaac Gardner's all over the back of Gage Himes, but now it's Angel who's here going to make a move. Is he going to go by 2 of them? He's diving super late on the brakes into the hairpin. Gains a spot. That's him up into 3rd. Does he cover it off for the next left-hander, or is Isaac going to
stuck around the outside for these next 2 corners?
All right. Isaac will dive through that open door, and he takes the spot back as they go back uphill towards turns 8 and 9. A few people dipping tyres in the outside. That'll spread that across the track for next lap. Here we go. Lambeth and Angel now side by side. That looks like Chris Lambeth in the bright green. He's taken 4th, but Angel's not going to take it lying down.
Angel's fighting back. Oh, Lambeth slots in. I don't know how he found the room for that, but that was really good driving. We have a spinner coming out of the exit. Looks like he didn't collect anybody. Not too bad. I'd say overall, pretty great lap 1. We still have 1 corner to go. Looks like we got a little bit of a dragon tail going, trying to break the draft from the leader there.
Wow, look at the gap he's already building. It's already nearly a second, which is big in these kinds of cars. We'll focus in on the battle between Chris Lambeth and Angel, which is still ongoing. It's been multiple corners and multiple sequences, and they're still going at it. That's the nature of the track. They're able to... There are so many sort of double hairpins where you can send out the inside and 1, but then it gives the advantage to the driver in the next corner. So we're seeing these back and forth battles just go on and on for corner after corner. They really have to wrestle the position from each other if they want to keep it. Angel looks like he's survived and has actually built a little bit of a gap. So now it's Lambeth in trouble. We'll go on to the back, and we'll see Joshua Grosso in the 23. He's backing off.
Joshua's a pretty patient driver. I think he's willing to let things take place in front of him, but not too far behind him. In the Thunder Thighs livery, we see Jacob Simmons throwing a move. It's a nice looking livery. I wonder who made that one.
Sounds like a pretty cool team as well, to be honest.
It's a pretty cool team.
Strong team.
Yeah, very good, solid foundation from the bottom.
So yeah, Timing Tower is still saying that this is a fight for 17th, but that's not true. This is the fight for 6th place. I'll have a look at the Timing Tower and see if we can get it sorted out. But this is at the sharp end of the field, and we're seeing some good racing already. Only 10 minutes, oh no, 3.5 minutes already gone, so they're not going to have many more laps. So I wonder if being patient will even pay off. They may run out of laps before we know it.
Well, you got to think about it. These guys they have to consider that you got 3 races tonight. I think all these races decide whether or not you're going to be, what position you're going to start the next race in. So just be a little patient here. It'll pay off. Maybe not this race, maybe the next race. But you can see that gap got closed down by 2nd place there.
Excellent. He's not getting away with it easily. Gage has either used the slipstream, or Kyle Caesar has had a slightly scruffy end to the lap. The last lap, for example, was a 43.9 for Kyle Caesar versus a 43.2 for Gage Himes. So better part of a second he gained back on him, so no wonder he's lost the gap. He's going to have to build that up all over again.
He's going to have a huge toe. He's within 2/10 here, less than a 2/10, right around 1/10. Looks like he's going to look on the outside, compromise the exit here. Let's see if he can get him a little off balance going into this double left-hander with a little gravel to throw in. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah, we'll see what's waiting for them around this corner. A little bit of gravel, mostly on the outside. Not too bad. Again, he's got the toe, and as long as Gage can stay in that draft, he should stay within striking distance.
I mean, it looks like Kyle's just got a little bit of an advantage. Maybe he's just a little bit more patient or carrying a little bit more speed through the turns. A little loosey-goosey there for Chris Chitterling. Good save there. That's not an easy spot to save it. It's very easy to loop it around.
Oh, a bit of contact behind.
Some squiggle lines behind him in the 99.
That is peak MX-5 action. Throw it into the corner, get all four wheels sliding, and then just try and collect it up and see if you can survive. Oh, fortunately, it looks like Trey Mistak has been involved in an incident here, according to my screen. Oh, he's missing a front bumper.
Yeah.
And then, a spin in front. That's Jesse Greer in front of him. Collects him. Oh, that's Trey in our example car. I used that one for the the track guides. Ah, man. Well, he'll be back for Heat 2. 2 more races to go, remember. So, all is not lost. Checking in on our top 3. Slightly broken away. It's really a top 4 with Angel at the back of it. Joshua Grosso is ever so slightly back from there. Then you've got
a little
Joshua
swapping
Grosso.
back and forth between Lambeth and Simmons going down this straightaway and into turn 5.
Well, let's watch
coming
this
down to the hairpin.
Scary.
Are they going to be able to keep it clean? Former teammates Chris Lambeth and Jacob Simmons in the GT3 class, famous for their beans livery. No love lost here, though. Looks like Jacob's going to get the worst of it. Chris is able to hold him off. Might have a good run here.
We've got Chris Chitterling making more moves, this time at the expense of Alejandro Gallego. That seems to be his favourite overtaking spot. He sent a few up the inside there. It gives you so much confidence up there because it's uphill. You can just lay on the brakes.
Yeah, and if you're confident with taking that next corner like pretty narrow, you can kind of throw that move. Maybe either around the outside, or if you can carry the speed on around the outside. It's again one of those off-cambered corners that if you got the talent to do it, it gives you more opportunities.
Kyle being more of a snake, trying to break the toe. It's just about working. It almost seems like he doesn't need to because he is pulling on Gage. Although, that said, last lap, if we check, was only a fraction quicker than Gage. So he's having to really pull out all the stops just to keep this precious cushion. Looks like Joshua Grosso in the 23's pulled away from Chris Lambeth, so it's a top 5 breakaway. And it goes to Lambeth, the Kermit car, and Jacob Simmons, who will probably fancy another run on this long back straight.
A lot of drag this car pulls with that open cage, so it creates a huge hole in the air. It looks like a little nudge there from Jacob, so that's the message saying, hey, let's go catch Josh before we start fighting too much. Only 2 minutes left, though. I wonder if Jacob might regret that. I'd say, man, maybe I should have done that move, because that's a 2-second gap ahead of them.
Looks like Rodrigo Theory just gained a spot at the expense of Brandon Renfro. May have had an incident and dropped back. Big movers, Chris Chitterling there again, who's up 8 spots from where he started. Also got Benjamin Munch, currently circulating without a front bumper, but he's still up 11, which is pretty impressive. Daryl Carrington, up 11 spots too. Andrew Simmons up 13. We also saw Paul Young Kim starting at the very back. And now he's worked his way up into 29th, so that's 11 spots for him as well.
11 spots, running the Red Bull livery. Car looks pretty clean though, so he's trying to break the stigma.
We've got Rick Wishon with a yellow flag, so he may have cut the course and he's got a slowdown. That will probably cost him a spot to Rodrigo Theory, who may or may not know that he has to give up around a second. You see how he negotiates it. He's clearly backing off. Rodrigo's going to Go around him.
Yep.
There we go. He's scrubbing
Gotta
off the
slow
rest of
down.
that time.
Hope he got it done in time. I don't see a black flag, so it looks like he was able to get that served just in time, but not in time to not leave a huge run for Brandon Renfro around the outside. Brandon's going to be stuck a long way around. Did he carry enough speed? Looks like Rick was able to get the grip there, but now they're going to be super tight going down into the hairpin.
Right, Simmons is ahead of Lambeth. Now is Lambeth going to return the favour? He'll pull out to compromise his entry. Brake disc glowing. You see how hard they are on the brakes. Over
This
under.
car is so fun because you can be a little aggressive. Whoa,
Oh,
got to
we've
spin
got
around the outside.
Angel.
That's Angel Bonita Soto out there.
Let's rewind. It's on the entry to 6. He loses the rear. Oh, and collects Isaac Gardner at the same time.
Just jumped it a little too hard. So easy to lose grip right there. And you got to carry so much speed. I mean, you don't have any choice if you want to run up the front. You got to chuck it in there. That took Isaac Gardner down a few spots.
He's got a bit of a black eye.
Just lost
still
one.
Going. Yeah.
Just lost one to Josh.
Oh, we've got Braden Daniels. Oh, and Chris Chitterling, both involved in an incident here.
Man.
What's gone on here? We'll rewind and check the incident previous. Looks like there was drama already unfolding ahead of them. Jonathan De Keisha. Oh, meeting the incident before it's already happened.
Looks like a car got spun on the exit there, and then everybody's pushing, and they just don't have anywhere to go. Joshua maybe just get a little loose on the curb here.
The recovering Angel. So it's Braden going off ahead, who checks up.
Braden getting the spin, yeah. A lot of damage to the front of Joshua's car.
And there we are, the checkered flag has fallen, according to my side. Sorry we missed the ending there. We were checking out that incident. And it's Kyle Caesar who takes heat number 1, the victory there. He won it by just about 0.8 of a second. So fairly close run thing. Gage Himes kept him honest from start to finish. But yeah, pure pace. He's had tremendous consistency. He was pumping in very consistent laps within the 43s. And he's taken heat number 1.
Yeah, it's a great run from Kyle, and you know, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about during qualifying and when we were running down the track. It's just not quite the same as last week. It's not as open of a draft situation. You got to be a little harder on these corners to get this pace in, and then you have to have a significant amount more pace to make a pass stick. You know, we saw a lot of racing go back and forth. Jacob Simmons and Chris Lambeth in 5th and 6th there. We saw them swap positions quite a few times. And it's just not as big of a run. You got to have a little bit more technique here, and I think we're going to see them pushing a little harder on this one.
Yeah, so the grid is set based on the results of Heat 1, so Kyle Caesar will start on pole yet again with Gage Himes alongside him. Joshua Grosso has made it up to 3rd, switching with Isaac Gardner. Jacob Simmons made a bit of ground and starts in 5th, ahead of Chris Lambeth, Rodrigo Thierry, who's gone forward a couple, Rick Wishon, Brandon Renfro, Alejandro Gallego, Gardner's teammate, in the top 10. Then it's Marshall Scari and Joshua Justice up into P12.
And P13, Angel Soto, after that spin there, not a bad spot for him to start. He's got good pace. Then you have Jonathan out of Canada. I don't have his last name there. And then starting in 15th, you got Tom Smith, winner of the ARCA race last night. Aiden Gertz in 16th. Braden Daniels in 17th. Dean Diltz, followed by Chris Chitterling and Cecil Held around at the top 20.
Then comes Benjamin Munch, Clark Wolf, William Van Salkemer, who was almost a winner last week. Then Peter Flanner, who made a little bit of ground. Andrew Simmons, Shane Goins, Paul Young Kim, who made up a bunch of spots, 13 in total. Jason Chen, who may have been involved in a first lap incident, ahead of Brian McGrath and Daniel Varron in 30th.
And then Trey Mistack, the ominous force, sitting there back in 31st. He can make a big push to the front. Followed by Todd Buellmore and Jesse Breer. Kobe Brooks is going to be in 34th, followed by John Debrick and Daryl Carrington wrapping out 36th. You got Charles Craig starting 37th. Jeff Koppold, very good driver, and Gareth Ham looking in there, and Andrew Korstecki, Michael Othon, Oliver Brooks, and Jefferson Alf. I think a couple of these guys maybe have jumped in that practice session, but aren't going to be running in this race. But we're coming to the green flag mark for race number 2 of the Thursday night Miata League here in Broken Wing Racing League.
All right, we're about to do it all again. 12 minutes now we've got. So let's see how this one plays out. Has Gage Himes learned anything? Can he dethrone Kyle Caesar? Or he's already got trouble. It looks like Joshua Grosso had a great start. And now they're 3 wide into turn 1 with Joshua Grosso, the 23 in the middle, pushes Gage out wide, but he'll have the inside line for the next turn, so that's not over. Streaming through,
Another
tidy.
3 wide, but back in the pack. Everybody through turn 1, very clean, very tight racing. They're still racing it out for second and third. They're still going 2 wide. They're the Moss S's racing down to turn 5. Let's see who can make a move here and then get a good run. Good little pack there back in about 10th or so. 15th or so.
Fight for fourth, continuing. It's Isaac Gardner and Jacob Simmons, the 2 red cars going side by side. They'll be fighting all the way down into the hairpin. You can see them, little dots in the distance behind the track map. Here they come. It's Kyle Caesar still in first. Gage, Grosso, Jacob Simmons very late on the brakes. Oh, and Chris Lambeth in the green car is going to fall into that
Taking a
gap
little
as
sniff
well.
at the side there. A little sniff.
Right, well, there's a will, there's a way.
And we got to move there back from the Valvoline car. Still remembering it, trying to memorize everybody's.
It's probably Tom Smith, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Then was sweeping
Oh,
through.
we got a little bit of contact and a spinner coming out of the
Is that Rick Wishon?
revolver. Yeah. It could be, yeah.
Rick Wishon running wide there. It looks like he's picked up some damage. We'll go through the incidents after we get through the first lap.
3 wide. 3 wide again.
That looks like Trey
3
Mistak
wide,
already up a
through
bunch
Hobbs
of
corner.
spots. Trey Mistak is up 2, it says, but we know that isn't right. He's actually up many more spots. It's Rick Wishon coming into the pits. Oh, we've got more incidents at the last corner. Let's see who this is involving. It's Rick Wishon heading in. Before that, we had Tom Smith running wide, coming across the nose and being taken out. This is at the last turn. It's Benjamin Munch looping it, going around, hitting the pit wall.
A little bit too early.
I believe there was another incident after that. Tom Smith, presumably with his
spinner.
rear wheel,
Probably
all
a
out of
little
sorts.
wheel damage there. Took a nice little punch there when he got loose on that exit curb.
Here it is. It's Paul Young Kim. After all his hard work in Heat 1, he goes around. He should hold his brakes. Good. Coming back onto the
Very
racing
good discipline
service.
out there.
Well
Right
done.
there by Paul.
Back to Kyle Caesar. Out the front, he's pulled another little gap. Gage
sitting there in second again, having a look in his mirror. He's got Josh Grosso a little bit closer this time. And, he's going to have to figure something out. Like, what's going to crack this Caesar case? How do I get a little bit closer and make a run on this guy?
Rodrigo Theory sticking the nose in Isaac Gardner. Joshua Justice sniffing around looking for an open window. Nothing going there. I would say Gage Himes is probably more concerned about his mirrors than catching Kyle Caesar in front, although he has closed up yet again. The end of the lap seems to be a strong point for him, and he'll be just in the draft.
It looks like like I said, it looks like Kyle has the advantages in some of the slower speed corners. Maybe there's some technique with the braking that he has, but Gage does seem to have really good exits onto the long straights. And then he gets that draft that helps him near the end of it. But he just can't seem to make that pass or get just enough of an overspeed run to make the move. And at this point, is he deciding hey, I'm going to have a good spot. I finished second in the second race, and then are we going to see some more daring moves in the feature? Because if he makes a mistake there, Josh is right there, ready to make a move and make him pay for that mistake.
Exactly. Joshua Grosso also with the fastest lap last time around as well. A low 1:43.04. We're so close to the 42s. So Joshua Grosso taking full advantage. Too wide into the hairpin. Gage having to defend. Josh goes around the outside. He'll have the inside for the next turn. This will play into Jacob Simmons' hands, who will see the inside line open up, and Gage will go from second to fourth.
Jacob pushes Josh through there. That's a pretty opportunistic move for Jacob, and Gage, again, it's one of those things. Maybe he should have thrown a move on the leader, but I think you're right. I think he was just looking back there, and Josh had a great run. That's a great move by Josh. That's a pass made that took 3 corners to do. And I love that type of racing. I love it when you have to set something up for a little while, maybe a couple laps even. Ooh, little loose exit there, but great catch. Great catch
Alejandro
by Mr.
catches it.
Gallego. Yeah.
Now he's got Joshua Justice for company. Joshua having a strong race. Getting a little nudge through the last corner. And then the whole stream, he's going to have them breathing down his neck. He's going to have his eyes fully in the mirror. His teammate, 2 spots ahead of Rodrigo Theory. No help to him there. Marshall Scari also under pressure from Brendan Renfro. And that's Jonathan De Keisha looking around the outside of the number 7.
Jonathan up 2 spots. Good showing. Glad to have him join the ranks, join the league. Big shout out to some of the comments on Twitch chat. Hey Connor Burns, good to have you. Always fun racing with you. And then big thank you to Gareth for updating our title for our stream and everything Gareth does for the league. I don't know if many people realize it, but Gareth Ham is literally the brains behind the operations. He's the one that's been putting up our new website, which is BWRL.net. It's where you can check standings. It's very user friendly, and it's just it's a huge improvement. Right after the race, you know where you stand.
Absolutely. I like, what did Jacob say? He's not the stepdad, he's the dad who stepped up.
And speaking of Jacob Simmons, getting a little loose on the exit there. Looked like he might have been trying to make a move on Josh, or maybe just push a little hard, and now he's got Gage there, but he's able to hold him off. Good exit there, but wow, that was close. That was close to going from, 3rd to 30th.
I know, he almost had it done. The timing tower actually put him in 2nd for a moment, so he was through. Then, yeah, that tricky sequence of double left-handers forced him out wide, a bit of gravel. And yeah, you can use the panels in these things. You can use the wing mirrors, the door handles, anything you want to muscle your opponent out of the way, but this allows Kyle Caesar to get an even healthier gap ahead of the field. I think that scrapping behind them is just costing them time, and you can see that reflected in the lap times. Last lap of 43.5 from Kyle Caesar versus a 44.5 from Jacob Simmons in 3rd place. So scrapping is fun to watch, but it just lets Kyle Caesar slip away. In fact, at this point, with only 5 minutes left, it's probably written off, and they're probably just scrapping over 2nd.
It looks like we got some good races back there with Dean Diltz and Aiden Gertz. They're just a 10th apart, and Vince Sulkman not far behind Peter Flanner. We've got a whole gaggle of Mazdas. Just ready to see what's going to happen. Dean puts it in a little late.
Let's see that on board. It goes at the inside.
Oh,
very late lunge.
Very late.
That's Jonathan De Keisha in the 364 going backwards. Literally backwards. Backing it up. Joining parallel to the track. That's good. Shame. They were having a nice little race there. It's not over. Brake discs still glowing through the hairpin.
Still running side by side for this mid-pack. You got Van Sulkema looking for any opportunity he can take. We know he's got pace. He had a great race going last week at Watkins Glen. He's making a sniff. He's got Trey Mistak on the back of him, so you can't make too much of a move on Aiden Gertz. You can see almost 3 wide. 3 wide going there almost.
Wow.
And who can hold it on the outside? Can Trey carry a little speed?
If anyone can,
get enough of a run.
Mistak.
And if you can compromise that person on the inside line, they'd have to lift a little bit. It's probably a smart move. Probably a smart move by Aiden there to say, hey, we'll let you have it and get a run on the straight.
I know, so Trey Mistak up 16. We saw him starting at the back of the grid. He's made up a ton of spots. Another big mover is Mr. Peter Flanner. He's up 12 spots himself, currently sitting in 12th place. So he's poising himself nicely for the final heat. If he starts anywhere close to the top 10, he's a driver who more often than not goes forward. So if he's got a longer race with a bit more patience, a bit more management involved, I think he's probably a good pick for being in the top 6 or somewhere around then.
You know, it's fun to watch these guys race in different types of vehicles, especially this one. It's a little bit more intrinsic kind of feel. You kind of got to work the wheel a little bit harder than you're working some of the downforce that some of these guys are fast in. So seeing Peter and Trey work their way up through a gap, work their way up through a field, and it's interesting to watch them be in a car that requires them to go a little slower but work a little harder and work through traffic that's just not not as easy to just kind of do a mathematical pass. You kind of got to do it by your gut.
Right? All of these drivers that we associate with being buttery smooth now have to get their elbows out and start working the wheel. We'll see it when we go on board
Yeah.
here. The roll bar is even better. Should see some of the wheel movement just to get the car sliding. Get all four wheels moving around underneath you, sort of like a shopping trolley, in control but out
Especially
of
here,
control.
you see a little movement to the left on entry there, and then you kind of get that grip, and then you can kind of turn it right.
And here is the Hunter
Looking
view.
on.
Isaac Gardner hanging onto the back panel. He'll wait for Marshall to brake and then brake a second later. And you see for a right-hand corner, the wheel staying absolutely dead still, or even going a little bit left. So it's just having the car alive and shifting behind you. It's a very different driving style from what we see in the GT3s, for example.
Yeah, like I said, GT3s and some of the high downforce cars are, for me personally, it's almost a little mathematical. You got to be perfect. It's a little bit more precise and predictable. This one is, let me do an input on this car, hit the brake in a different way, and it may react two different ways on two different laps, doing the exact same thing. You just gotta react to it. It's got a mind of its own.
Vibes-based driving, I would say. You've just got to see what it gives you when you hit the brakes and then react from there.
Yeah.
Rodrigo,
Nice little pass from Gage there around Josh Grosso. Rodrigo looking around the outside of Chris Lambeth. Still looking around the outside of Chris Lambeth. Maybe compromise Chris's entry into that. He's going to have a run here. Right into Redmond corner.
Oh, he's got to send it
able to
here.
put it on the brakes. Oh my gosh, that could have. Oh, it's actually pretty good space. Good respect given by Chris. Smart respect given by Chris. Because he gets a good run, keeps the inside line going into Mike Knight corner, heading into Mike Knight corner and last corner.
Very creatively named
corners.
some of these. Yeah, right. We've got hairpin. Oh, a little bit wide. That'll be a 1X. Losing a bit of momentum there, but he'll probably get it back by virtue of being in the slipstream. Oh, and hang on. Oh, we've ended the race.
Engine.
Okay, we've ended the race. That's why we need something on this overlay that tells us when these races are over. Okay, well,
I think we just get so into the racing. Gosh.
Yeah, right. 8 laps completed, 12 minutes done. We've got drivers still crossing the line, throwing themselves into the wall. Lovely. Let's see if we can look at the standings from Heat 1. They may not be ready just yet. We have to wait for all the drivers to cross over the line, but it's Kyle Caesar who takes back-to-back wins, followed by Jacob Simmons, who made up 3 spots to get there. Joshua Grosso completes the podium. Gage Himes shuffled from 2nd down to 4th. Chris Lambeth in 5th. Rodrigo Theory in 6th. Both poised very nicely for the feature race. Alejandro Gallega in 7th. His teammate right behind him in 8th place. Then it's Marshall Scari in 9th. And Joshua Justice rounds out the top 10.
Then you got Brandon Renfro pushing up to actually losing a couple positions into 11th. Angel Benet Soto, good little recovery drive, made a position up. And then you have Peter Flanner, 11 positions up in 13th. Trey Mistak, 17 positions up into 14th. And right behind him, William Van Solkema, 8 positions up. So really hard chargers from 13th, 14th, 15th. Aiden Gertz in 16th. Jason Chen coming in 17th place, 11 places up. Also 11 places up is Brian McGrath. And 19th, Dean Diltz. And rounding out the top 20 is Todd Bullimore. Or Buellmore. Todd, correct me if you watch this back.
Right, then there's Jesse Breer, Kobe Brooks, John DeBrick, Daryl Carrington, Charles Craig, Jeff Koffold again having a tough race, 3 laps down. And then our spectators / admins at the back. Okay, well, we'll prepare then for the feature race, the final one. This is 20 minutes. Let me put this back at the start. We'll have Kyle Caesar starting on pole again. Beside him, Jacob Simmons. This is like a repeat of Road Atlanta.
Yeah, I think we kind of covered it with the finishes.
Yeah.
But, it'll be interesting to see what Jacob can do from 2nd place. We've seen Kyle take a run from the front, not really be too bothered. Can Jacob make a pass, I don't know, lap 1 or 2 while he has a chance? I, I anticipate he ought to make a look, turn 1, lap 1, and maybe get Kyle off of his rhythm because I think that's the only thing that we're going to see that's going to keep him from winning. We've seen him dominate. And then Josh Grasso, he's going to stick there and just be a pest with Gage behind him. So I think we'll see some challenging runs here. We've seen some short heat races. We've seen these guys going at it, and now we have a little bit more time to spread it out. But I don't predict that we see more patience, Mark. I think people are realizing overtaking is a little bit more difficult to this track than last week. So I think people are going to say, this is the feature. I'm going to take my opportunities when I can get them.
Right, yeah, you can't rely on the draft alone to just pull you past. You have to force it, I think. I wonder if we'll see a little bit of bumping and running, a little bit of back quarter panels getting a little push just to soften them up and move them off their line. But yes, I think it'll be end of school vibes. The last race of the night.
Meet me
You've
at the
learned a lot.
flagpole.
Right.
Got some beef to settle. We were mentioning some of the corner names before we get going on this. We have the aptly named first corner, the hairpin. But we have some names that sound like they'd be famous, and we'll cover them later in the race. We got green flag coming.
Kyle Caesar leading them to green. Pace car is pulled in. We'll wait to see when he goes for it. It looks like he's already gone for it, and he's already weaving across the track to get in front of Jacob Simmons. Joshua Grosso's there in fourth. Looking up the inside, it's Gage Himes, it's the top four again. Meanwhile, Rodrigo slides it past Isaac Gardner, I think. Chris Lambeth in the Kermit car is back there too wide coming into turn 2. They're still side by side from the looks of it. No one in the gravel
Fully
just
clean
yet.
turn 1.
Just skimming the gravel on the outside, 2 by 2. That's
somebody goes a little bit wide up out into the wall.
Lambeth.
He's able to hold it off the track.
There's Peter Flanner moving up. I'm going to keep an eye on Trey Mistek. I want to see how many spots he can gain. I hope he's going to get it into the top 6 from where he starts. That's my brave call. That's my gambling bet.
I feel like he's starting to figure it out just a little bit. And I'm also wondering, did Kyle listen to my pre-race strategy from Jacob Simmons? Because he took off like a rocket on that start. Didn't want to give any option for a lap 1, turn 1 move from Jacob. Let's see if Jacob can maybe put some pace together, and will Josh be patient enough in third to maybe help push him up? But man, Kyle's just running away in the front. I feel like we haven't talked about him much, but this is impressive.
It is, and he's quick in everything. I'm watching Mistak in the white and blue car. Was 3 wide into the hairpin between Peter Flanner and Angel. He's got past Angel and muscled him out of the way. Van Solcombe was there, and now Trey is he's trying to work over Peter Flanner into the final corner. He's on the outside. We'll see if they give each other room.
Side by side in final corner is not an easy situation to be in. We see a little dust getting kicked up. Looked like they were able to hold it together, but who got the run out of it?
Absolutely snaking back there. We'll keep an eye on it for a little bit longer to see how he's doing. He is ahead of Peter Flanner on the outside. He's going to have to hang it on around, but he'll get the inside for turn 2.
Just a fender enough to deserve the space. Stuck around the outside here. Looks like Trey's got it done. Peter's going to dip a tire in that gravel. Totally fine here. Don't lose much time there. I don't even think you get a 0x for that.
Well, Grosso has made a move past Jacob Simmons, so Simmons was fighting for second, has now found himself back in
past
fourth.
them both.
Yeah, interesting how that happened. Back to the Mistak and Flanner battle. He is a little bit clear, so he's got a bit of breathing room. He's probably got his sights ahead of it on Brendan Renfro and Marshall Scari up ahead. Is that Joshua Justice and Isaac Gardner now going at it? Joshua Justice having a strong race. Moving forward, getting involved at the sharp end.
Yeah, not bad. Good looking car.
Jason Chen here in his student driving car, driving test vehicle. I think he's too hard on himself.
I think Jason has graduated well beyond student driver. I've seen him drive. He's had some really good results and some of the very good endurance driver. The team I raced on, we were in the same split as them. I think they won the Daytona 24 in his split, but I'd have to double check it. They were crazy fast.
Yeah, they always seem to pull out good results, no matter what they enter. This is Aidan Gertz behind Brian McGrath. Jason Chen just up ahead. Brian on the brakes slightly in the mid corner, so that'll slow him up. Aidan will get a nice run. Pulls out to the inside. He'll wait for him to brake and then just do it a smidge later.
Yep.
The inside.
Very nice move. I mean, you just gotta. It's just beautiful. Yeah, I mean, you gotta strategize it. You gotta cue it up a couple corners before. Just like you said, you saw that little bit of brake light. You're like, here's my chance. That's the mistake I was hoping for. I'm gonna seize it.
Rick Wishon recovering, had an unlucky start in heat number 2 and was forced to pit on lap 1. He's making his way back up. He's already up 5 spots. Probably going to be 6, yes, ahead of Oliver Brooks in the 666.
Good long run out of that straight though, and Oliver's going to be able to carry a little bit more speed on the outside there. So I don't think that move is necessarily done, and it looks like he's going to get a little nudge on the outside. No. Who's that in the Castrol car?
As Michael Hawthorne just putting himself in the mirrors.
Rick running down the inside of the hairpin. If he can get the clearance. No, he doesn't. They're going to be side by side. No, he does get the clearance. Job done. And man, what a compromised entry, and that's going to cost Oliver a ton of spots.
Oh my, he was almost too nice about it and pinched himself on the entry too much and had to back out. And Solkema up another spot, taking one away from Angel Manila Soto. Isaac Gardner is side by side with Joshua Justice. The scrapping here will help my pick for the top 6 today. Trey Mistak slowly reeling them in. He's already taken Brandon Renfro, and now he's up into 10th spot, so that's up 4 positions. We've seen Joshua Grosso cycle back down to 4th, so now it's Jacob Simmons in 3rd and Gage Himes in 2nd. Carl Caesars leads by 0.8 of a second. Fastest lap on the last lap was Jacob Simmons with a 42. Hey, we've finally seen someone breaking the 42 barrier. That is a
great
rapid.
Lap.
Yeah,
that
no doubt.
A great lap.
No doubt helped by the draft, but still absolutely nailing.
Will it be enough for him
corner.
to, give Gage a little nudge up to say, hey, let's go catch Kyle. Just give him some trouble tonight.
He's been metronomic. We've only seen maybe one mistake we did in the first race where he dropped back into the clutches of Gage after pulling out a little gap, but it looks like he's not going to make the same mistake twice. And he just ekes away 10th by 10th. I mean, Jacob did a 42.8, but still, Kyle Caesar's last lap with no draft was a 43.1, which is absolutely rapid by itself.
And the way he's been going, it's going to be another 143, low 143, low 143. I mean, the consistency will just strangle you.
Looking back, Trey Mistak Cam on the charge. Oh, Joshua Justice getting loose on the exit turn 8. That will allow these two to pick a line. We're getting another wiggle. Marshall's boxed out. Trey's not going to let him back in. Trey will take that spot from him gladly.
So hanging around the outside though, Trey thought better of it. Let me get a better run on this corner.
Interesting, yeah, rather opting to take the slipstream on the long straight rather than lunge down the inside. This is probably the best way they can keep the group in front in touch. If they go side by side, corner after corner, they'll just lose the guys in front for the rest of the race. Joshua also slippy again into turn 1.
Marshall looking at a move. A little snip of a move, just making Josh think about it.
Thank you for the leaderboard, by the way. Flying for fun. I forgot I turned that off for the lap 1 camera. Here we are, a little mob forming. William and Solkema probably watching this with interest. Marshall Scary scrubs wide. Trey will...
Looks like Trey got the inside line and a run here.
Ooh, they're fighting over the slipstream.
Marshall's going to have
giving
the
it to
draft
Marshall.
though. I think if I'm Josh, I might. I don't know who I'd want to give the slipstream to. Marshall's pretty dang quick, and I think that's probably a smart move. Let's make these guys go side by side, compromise their actions, and then go for an overtake. Is that a blue flag or?
We've got a black back marker.
Yeah.
And there, the 878. That's Darryl Carrington.
Such a tough spot to stay out of the way.
Well, that gives Joshua Justice another little bit of breathing room. Looks like Angel Soto was caught up in there as well. and he'll be compromised again. Okay. And then it's Jason Chen taking the opportunity to go up
Oh,
the
that was
inside.
a
Very
that was a heck
opportunistic.
of a move by Jason. Oh, that is causing chaos. You got people in the grass. He gets a little bit loose, and Jason's going to lose that spot again. He's still going to fight for it. We got
Oh,
people in the
Angel!
gravel. Oh!
Angel's spinning off into the last corner, collects a few drivers ahead of him, and X is out. Let's see that incident again. It looked like he got pushed out wide or confused by Daryl Carrington.
I mean,
And
that starts 3 corners ahead of time. You know, that's just how it happens. Jason throws that move, gets everybody a little off kilter. We got people in the gravel. Then you lose all the grip on the left side tires. Angel's trying to keep in it, and he just spins off and collects Jason.
something's happened to Jacob Simmons. He's all the way down there in P13. I wonder if we can go back and see what happened to him. It's a spin. Turn 1, collects it, loses it. Joshua Grosso tags him. And they were having such a good race that allows Rodrigo Theory up into P3. Gage Himes, second place, looks pretty nailed on now. Joshua Grosso still circulating, but probably with some damage, followed by Gardner. Chris Lambert in the number 6, Trey Mistak in the top 7 now. My bet for the top 6 is still on. Then a small group behind.
It's crazy how this track, I mean, there's so many opportunities where you're using all of the track and more. There's so many gravel traps here. Some of them cause you a 1x, some of them give you an extra tenth of time. And as you can see, when you're pushing that hard, you see Jacob get a little bit loose on that entry spin, and he's in the gravel, which is rock bottom. And then you see some of these guys getting all the advantage of the exit right here on final corner. Little touch of the gravel right here, and that's just, it rocks. So from rock bottom to rocking out, it's a fun track to watch because you can just use it all.
Right, with these cars being as light as they are, being on the edge means you're one wheel input away from looping it. It's so light. And we want to see if Joshua Grosso has significant damage. We're watching Isaac Gardner chase him. We saw Joshua get bonked with Jacob Simmons losing it in front of him. It seems like Joshua doesn't have a lot of top end. That's slower than usual, I would say, even with the draft. Isaac tries the outside, slides it. Joshua will not let him take it that easily, but he's got the run onto the back straight.
I'd be interested to know, there's opportunities in these cars where if you're in a battle with somebody like that move by Josh right there, what looks slower than normal, sometimes you want somebody to be in a bad spot. And so maybe you let up, but that is a lot of damage on the front end of Josh's car.
Isaac's through.
Trying to create a narrative. And I will say, sometimes somebody gets a run and they get into a position where they get to choose. I'm going to move over and make sure they're next to me in the next corner if I know it's a disadvantage. And that's something that these guys are going to learn more and more. This car is so leans into racecraft that sometimes you take every advantage you get. You move over to the right because you want the inside, and not only does that defend the position, if they're on the outside, that's a terrible spot to be sometimes. And so sometimes you want to force them there. A little difference between that and a brake check, you know what I mean?
For sure. Well, yeah, we can't lean on the discrepancies between the cars like we do in GT3, where at a certain track, one car will have an advantage in one corner. Everything is absolutely equal. The setups are fixed. We're on the advanced setup as well. So with a car that relies so much on momentum and patience, where you place the car and how you set up overtakes several corners in advance, that's what makes the difference. And that is, yeah, the definition of pure racecraft. It's positioning, tactical placing of your car makes all the difference. You make moves happen. They're not given to you.
And then sometimes it's almost like fishing. You're throwing a bait out there, and say like last week we had opportunities to give a draft to somebody or take it away, and you want to put them in the worst position possible. And sometimes you have to make that decision 3 or 4 corners ahead of time. As we see side by side action.
Look who
Joshua
it is.
Grosso still on the outside. Trey still pushing up towards not the top 6, but he's looking for a top 5. and
Maybe
he
it
is
is
in a
like
prime
fishing.
position to do so.
Once you get a bite, you don't let go. You
Yeah,
just pull and pull and keep fighting it until one of you runs out of energy and gives up. Or your rod
and you just
breaks
want
and you spin.
to, yeah, you put it out there and say, hey, I bet you won't throw this move, and you know exactly what you're going to do because 2 or 3 corners later, you're going to be on the inside on the most important corner to be on the inside, and then that's where you get your run. You know, it's risk reward doing that, but man, I,
Very
I
close
love
between.
commentating this series. I'm having a blast with you, Mark, but man, don't you feel just a little bit jealous of these guys?
I do wish I was out there in the thick of this because it's just breathless. It's every single lap, every single corner. You've got somebody making a move or somebody just a few fractions ahead of the other. And it's non-stop. Even when you, well, with the exception of Carl Caesar, who's broken away at the front, getting away from the car behind you is so difficult.
That was just such a great view, Mark, while you were talking. Did you see the handwork
The
that Mansell
slide,
did there?
that was great.
He held it together
Fighting an
almost
octopus.
90 degrees to the right and still is able to hold on to the position. This guy's got William's got some real talent. It's really fun to watch him race.
Sure, we saw it last week, and then we've got this little grouping again, fighting over for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Mistak deciding to push Grosso, and pushing him past Isaac Geider. Oh, and then getting contact up on 2 wheels. Keeps it under control. Very, very good driving. That drops him back down into 7th. He's still got 5 minutes left to claim that top 6 that I've bet my house on. So please do it, Trey. That looked like a little bit of contact.
There was definitely some contact there. I would love to see that.
Yeah, let's go forward. Okay, that doesn't work. So
Be
back
interested
to
to see there because Trey was looking for a move that, just like we were talking about, kind of got baited into a position that opened up that inside just enough. And we've also talked about this car allows you to lean on some people. Sometimes you're going to see some fender bumps, some contacts, and some nudges out of the way, especially on a track where obviously overtaking isn't impossible, but you kind of got to force the issue a little bit. I think that's what we saw there. Unfortunate for Trey, but tough, hard racing.
right. I think I hope he'll dust himself off and get back going, but also wouldn't surprise me if his momentum would take a bit of a hit. But that depends. If they all keep scrapping in front of him, he may just casually walk back up to the back of Chris Lambeth's bumper again and go in for round 2.
I think we'll definitely see Trey back in the mix here. Chris is going to be looking for the moves. We saw how aggressive he drove last week. He was never satisfied with the position he was in. We have Josh up front, who's got a compromised front end. We got a move being thrown on the inside by Isaac Gardner. And Chris is going to follow whoever he thinks is going to be fastest. He chooses Josh on this one. Might not have been the best choice. Maybe he has an opportunity on the exit here. He's going to be stuck on the outside. He's going to let that slot in. He doesn't. And look who's right back on the end of the train. Trey Stack. So 4 corners before he was back.
Right, not even half a lap, and he's already back in it. 3 minutes to go, so we're getting closer to the last lap. Carl Caesar leading by 3.3 seconds, absolutely laying the hammer down, circulating in the 143s, the only man on track. Scratch that, sorry, Jacob Simmons down there in P13 is also in the 43s, but after his incident at turn 1, he's back there. In the back of the train, he's finally joined up to the back of Marshall Scari and this train from 8th, headed by Brandon Renfro, or really arguably Joshua Justice, who's having the race of his life in the top 10, fighting with Peter Flanner.
Yeah. Anytime you say that you're fighting with Peter Flanner and still in it, it's not a bad place to be. He is stuck on the outside.
Contact.
Actually, it's the worst place to be for Joshua. And there's my commentator curse of the week.
I think we both did it there. That was a double team.
Yep.
So he runs wide. It looks like Peter Flanner just drifts out wide, expects to hold him to the inside for the next corner, and turns Joshua around. He's still going with some damage. It's not terminal.
Is Peter running the Buckies?
That is Peter.
Okay.
The bushes. He's lost a spot to Van Salkemet as well. Jacob Simmons avoids it, but gets past Marshall Scari in the process.
I was just about to say, it was unfortunate for Jacob back there, just in the back of the shot, going on the inside. Uh, the spin, but it's a pretty damn good recovery drive from him. I think he dropped quite a few places in that spot, and he's sniffing the top 10 again.
Indeed, yeah, again, the only man in the 43s except for our leader, Mr. Kyle Caesar. Trey Mistak up to 6th. He's back in that top 6. My house is safe.
I think he's going to have a really good shot against Josh here. Josh is struggling, even in the draft, with that damage that he's got on the front end. It didn't look like that big of a hit that he had on Jacob, but it looks like it was just enough to slow him down on the vital straights here. And I think Josh is happy to tuck behind Isaac ahead and say, give me a draft. Help me hold off Trey here. But he doesn't give him the draft. He jumps out of the way. I don't know if that's the smartest decision by Isaac. I'd rather have Josh behind me than Trey.
And they go side by side. This will open a door from Trey Mistak. We'll see which side he chooses. Josh will be compromised. I reckon Trey might just sweep around the outside, or he's going to cut back in to get a better
Josh
exit.
isn't compromised. He's throwing a move and making it stick. He's going to get a little nudge from Trey here. So he's going to have that comfortable. He's probably going to try to block this off. Does he have the clearance? He doesn't. Isaac's sticking it back on the inside.
To defend. They all go wide. Chris is the one with the best
exit. Jump in, and we're going to have a tag team match here. Chris Lambeth and Isaac versus Trey and Josh going into the hairpin. And who's that behind them giving the push? We got a 3 wide on the inside, but Trey gets a great run to give Josh a push and look for the move into the hairpin.
Oh, look at this gaggle. Brendan Renfro's worked his way in there as well.
Yeah, he should clear Josh here.
This will be the last lap.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, they're side by side, uphill, giving each other lots of room. Very respectful driving.
So this is the race for the checkered, or is we just take white flag?
I am thinking it might be the final lap. We'll see. I don't want to take my eyes off the battle, but
no. Yeah, we'll figure it out later.
Caesar,
if it is the win, congratulations, Kyle. Let's get back to the fight.
There we go. Congratulations, Kyle Caesar. 3 for 3. All hail Caesar.
He moves up into 4th place.
Stacks into 4th.
Isaac and Josh side by side into the final corner. Who's going to get the run? Chris Lambeth is going to have a run on Josh here. He's going to tuck behind Isaac, and at the line is Chris going to be able to get Josh. He's got the draft, and I think he does. Chris is able to sneak his way.
Joshua Grosso just holds on to it. Yep, just holds on to it.
0.003 of a second. Oh my goodness.
Brilliant stuff. Everyone flying in, celebrating. Excellent. Good stuff, guys. Brilliant. Car park down at turn 1.
This finish brought to you by Wrist Surgeons of America.
Yeah, does Javecki do medical bills?
I think it's another opportunity for him.
Yeah. It is. Got last few drivers crossing the line. Here's Brian McGrath behind Paul Young Kim, who's up 5. Gareth Ham actually circulating. I wasn't sure he was in racing. Here he is, about to take 29th place.
Attaboy, Gareth.
Darrell Carrington, who we saw involved in some of the backmarker issues earlier, also taking the finish.
You know, I want to take a second. I want to take a second to give Darrell Carrington a shout out. We were watching earlier. We had some battles going on, and whatever got him into the blue flag position, he was in such a tough spot going through the double left-handers of Piper and Revolver, and he was able to do it and didn't kill anybody. I mean, we have issues with blue flags. We talk about it all the time. That was a good job. It was a good shout out.
Here we are then, our final results. This is the feature race. 20 minutes later, Kyle Caesar from lights to flag, 3 for 3. Very, very well done. Absolutely imperious. I don't think he ever lost the lead at any point. He was just...
You mentioned it earlier. I mean, biggest mistake he made was lost 2/10 on a lap.
Yeah, right. Scary. Gage Himes brings it home in 2nd. Good for him. Started 4th, made those spots back. Rodrigo Theory, very consistent. That means 1st place in last week's feature race and then a solid 3rd in the feature here. We aren't doing championship points as far as I'm aware, but if we were, I think that would put him in a very strong spot in the championship. Trey Mistak makes his way all the way up from 14th to 4th. Brilliant. Thank you for not making me homeless, Trey. I put all my money on you. Isaac Gardner brings it home 5th ahead of Joshua Grosso, who went from 3rd or 4th even to 6th in just a handful of corners. Chris Lambeth in 7th. Brandon Renfro was definitely in the mix. Could have finished 4th if he'd just thrown it in the right spot at the right time. Van Salkema made up several spots up into 9th, and then Peter Flannert rounds out the top 10.
And in 11th place, we have Marshall Scary, just ahead of Jacob Simmons, who had a pretty good recovery race. And Jonathan Descott, oh man, Jonathan DeKeischer, up 11 spots, new face to the league. Well, glad to have you. Joshua Justice had a good run, down 4 positions, but 14th spot. Rick Wishon up 13 spots to finish 15th, followed by Aiden Gertz, Jason Chen, Michael Othon, Daniel Varon in 19th, and Todd Buellmore to round out the top 20.
After Todd Buellmore, we had Oliver Brooks in 21st, Tom Smith, Cecil Hale, Braden Daniels unfortunately dropped back a few spots, Andrew Simmons, Paul Young Kim, Brian McGrath, John DeBrick, and Gareth Ham we saw was maybe the last person crossing the line. Oh, that was Clark Wolf in 30th. Daniel Karen, Kobe Brooks, Angel Soto, who didn't make it to the end of this race. Neither did Benjamin Munch. We saw having an incident at the last corner. Charles Craig, Chris Chitterling. I didn't see what happened to him, but that's not where he usually finishes. Jesse Breer, Alejandro Gallego, the teammate of Isaac Gardner, down there as well, with Dean Diltz, Shane Goyne, and then the 3 drivers who didn't participate in the last event. Phew. There we go.
What do you think? I mean, it wasn't as, I mean, that was a whole different race than what we saw week 1. Whole different track. I mean, I think we kind of predicted it early on. Hey, this one's going to be a little bit more technical. You're not going to be all the way in it all the way. I think we saw these drivers having to deal with this car be a little bit more technical, not just throw it in and see what happens in the draft. And what a dominant performance by Kyle. I mean, he just ran so well up at the front. We didn't get a chance to mention him too much just because he was just so consistent.
I know, right? Especially in these machines where consistency is so difficult and the draft is still so strong, to just march away, never be challenged, and to win all 3 on the bounce is super impressive. Yeah, he absolutely put on a masterclass. Respect to him, very quick laps, and thoroughly deserved 3 victories in a row. Well,
and kudos to you, Mark. I mean, you made a great call with Trey as well. What a great performance out of him to get up to top 5 from where he started, I think, in race 2, which was, I think, 31st. So
right.
It took him a couple of races to get up there. But, I mean, he worked his way through a pack, dealt with some issues, and made some great passes, made some great choices in a time where you may have half a tenth to make that choice, and he made the right ones.
Absolutely. He's inevitable. There are certain drivers where you see them pop up, even when it's on the bottom of your relative, and you're like, oh no, he's here. And you know they're just going to get closer and closer. But yeah, great display.
Is that Rodrigo that finished in 3rd? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
That's such a good spot for him to finish as well. I mean, winning last week, podium this week. I mean, we're looking at a guy that may very well be looking at a championship run in the Miatas when we start the points race.
Right, with this level of consistency, we saw some big names still make mistakes and tumble down the order. Jacob Simmons was sitting in a comfortable top 4 spot. Chris Chitterling down there as well, who finished 2nd last week. So yeah, anything can happen, and consistency should really, really pay off. If you're interested in more Broken Wing Racing League content, the next few races we've got coming up. This Sunday we have the GT3 Sprint at Monza. That'll be followed by our Broken Wing Endurance Championship on Tuesday, also at Monza, but at night, so a slightly different challenge. The Endurance Series is 90 minutes long. There's the GTP class and GT3 class all mixed in together. Then on Wednesday, we've got the finale of the ARCA Championship, the final round going to Kansas. And I think there's 3 people in contention for the championship. Joshua Grosso, Chris Chitterling, and maybe me, if they both crash. So that'll be exciting to watch, and that'll conclude the championship. The Broken Wing Endurance on Tuesday's over. That's the last round. And then ARCA on Wednesday concludes as well. The GT3 Sprint is the penultimate round, which is coming down to the wire. And I'm also involved in that, and I'm very scared, and I hope I win.
Yeah, let's just have you focus for fun on the ARCA championship, and then,
Mm.
you're in the top running for the Pro Championship on the GT3s. But let's not think about it too much. And thank you for the follow, Captain Brown. We appreciate that. Thanks for tuning into the Twitch stream. And for those of you watching, if you want to jump in on the YouTube replay when we post that later tonight, we're glad to have you. And
Yes.
man, what a race. I'd like
Mm.
to give a thank you to our sponsors for the league, our title sponsor, Sim Motion, and our associate sponsors with RDocs, Get Good Driving School, Javecki Allstate Insurance, Speed Reels. If you ever need a video or a race that you'd like some highlights or put together, if you're a part of a racing team or just want to share your exploits on sim racing with your friends, follow Speed Reels on Instagram. And then Brandon Burns League Overlay. It's a great addition for those of us that participate in GT3 and you want to know where you stand during the race while you're racing with the other people that are in your class. BB's League Overlay. Check out the Discord. There's some links there. It's a great tool.
Absolutely. All right, well, thank you very much for joining us, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the racing action. If you're watching it back on YouTube just to see how you did, we hope you had a good race as well. And we will see you for the next round, the third and the final round of our pre-season championship. And yes, that will be at a completely different track, which I've forgotten.
Let me see if I can
I
find it
should have
for you,
looked this
Mark,
up.
before we sign off. Yeah, that's such a
Summit
good
Points.
Summit Point.
Summit Point.
It's a great track. We'll be running two races that week. We're going to try a 10-minute heat and then a 25-minute feature. So that'll be another version of it. So I hope we have a great turnout. I mean, look at the turnout we've had, Mark. Over 40 cars in both races. What a great start to a series. What great racing that this provides for us. And I had a blast tonight watching it. I can't wait for next week.
Absolutely. Likewise. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, and we will see you next Thursday for more MX-5 actions here at Broken Wing Racing League. Bye-bye.
Good night.